The Leading Edge Cricket Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. I'm Rob, one half of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. As always, joined by my co-host Rich.
Hey Rob, how's it going?
We're doing great, mate. And as always, we've done it once, but now we're going to do it for the second time. We've got the question of the week with Rob. Yay!
Wow.
I know. And last time, a few guys got it right. It was, who has ever hit a six off the first ball of the over of a test match? And it was right. It was Chris Gale. So a couple of guys in the comment section absolutely nailed it. Now today, Rich, I've got this one for you. And what is, or how many, are the most runs conceded off and over ever in the history of cricket?
Ooh, right. It's going to be more than 36 then, isn't it?
Is it?
Because there's going to be extras in there. I'm going to go 39.
39 is the guess. Now, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And at the start of the next episode, we'll be giving you the answer. And you get a pat on the back if you get it right.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's got to be more than 36 because quite a few people have done 6 sixes, haven't they?
Yeah, Stuart Broad.
It's off Stuart Broad.
Stuart Broad. Who did Herschel Gibbs hit 6 sixes in and over as well? I think it was off a Dutch player.
Was it? Oh, it'd be amazing if it's that Ryan Ten-Descarter.
No, it wasn't. However, I am a big fan of Ten-Descarter.
Oh no, he plays for Essex. Sorry, Essex fans.
Now, what we've started to do on the episodes on YouTube, guys, so when you first start listening, check out the timestamps below, and that will let you know all the different chapters that we're going to be looking at today and where they start. So if there's something in particular you want to go and listen to, feel free. If not, just enjoy the ride with each of us. We're going to kick straight into it. Cricket news.
Right, this is the most exciting piece of news we've got, Rob. Honest. Not really. Aside, it's not really. Middlesex have announced the signing of Aussie all-rounder Hilton Cartwright. He's going to join them for the start of the county season, and he'll be available for around the first 5 championship games. If you haven't heard of Hilton Cartwright, that's okay, because neither have I. He's 26. He's born in Zimbabwe. I think it's Harare. So he could have. He sounds like he's an Englishman, really, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
In Zimbabwe. But he's an Aussie kid, and he's played 2 Test matches for Australia in 2017. Single Test against Pakistan at home, and then Bangladesh away. Right-handed bat, averages at just over 43.5 in first-class cricket, and is a medium-paced bowler. So he could be a useful cricketer. Depending on how this summer starts, it could also see that his stay is extended at Lord's, subject to approval by the folks at Cricket Australia. Oddly, though, Middlesex, not that they're an absolute powerhouse of county cricket, but they'd planned to go into season without an overseas player.
Wow.
Why? Yeah, exactly. But the situation changed due to a few injuries and also decision to rest the much-travelled, very busy Dawid Malan. He's had a busy winter, hasn't he? So he's being rested up for the first 2 championship games. So, yeah, first off, it's quite a strange one. Middlesex, we play at Lords. We don't need to have overseas players. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do, mate. Jump on the bandwagon.
You're not that good.
I've got a question here, Rich, right? What are the averages you need to have to be classed as a genuine all-rounder in cricket? Would you say average 35 with about 35 with the ball? Is that kind of the status?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think you've got to be 35 with the bat, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think your batting average has got to be above your bowling average.
It does. Now,
or unless you're a bowling all-rounder.
Yeah, I feel like we should strike this guy off the all-rounder list, though. He's got a first-class average of 43, but his bowling average in 33 games, he's got 19 wickets at 51, almost 52 if we round it up. That's not an all-rounder. That's just someone you throw the ball to every so often, like Graham Hick.
Yeah, he's not joining our club, is he?
He's not joining our club, no. He's not an all-rounder, but I'm sure he'll go and score some runs for Middlesex this year.
Yeah, and you watch, he'll take 50 wickets at about 20 as well, and then we'll go, you know that Hamilton Cartwright?
Yeah, always
Hilton
thought a lot
Cartwright.
of him, you know. Good bowler.
Yeah, all-rounder.
All-rounder.
Right. Anyway, do you want to talk about a real all-rounder?
Go on, then. Who we got?
Mitch Marsh, fellow Aussie Mitch Marsh. Bad news. He's had to cancel his stint with Surrey. He was going to be joining Surrey for the coming season, the whole season, to play all formats as the overseas pro for Surrey. He's had to pull out due to needing ankle surgery, so he's going to miss the white ball tour of England with Australia this summer. His hope is that he's going to be back for the Test series against Pakistan in September for Australia. Surrey optimistically are holding out hope that he may be okay to rejoin them for the business end of the championship season. I think this sounds very unlikely, considering he won't have played cricket for a long time, and finishing a season at Oval is not going to be his priority when he's got a Test series coming up shortly afterwards. So That's a weird one. Better news potentially for Surrey. I've not seen it confirmed yet, but there's strong rumours that Morné Morkel is joining Surrey as a Kolpak. Obviously, he's recently retired from Test cricket. Really good in kind of emotional scenes in that last game. Really good to see him against Australia. So it'd be lovely for county cricket for him to come over and play. But also, if he's going to be a Kolpak, obviously he's not an international anymore. This leaves the door open to fulfil the prophecy of Virat Kohli coming to county cricket. Obviously, after his IPL stint. I don't think he's going to jack in his IPL job, is he? Just to come and play a bit of cricket for Surrey. So maybe we might see Virat playing in English cricket.
Yeah, it could become a reality. I wouldn't be surprised if he does come across. He's going to go and score a bagload of runs in T20, and then he needs to get into Test mode, and Surrey's a great place to do it. They're more than willing to take him on board, and injuries like this to Mitchell Marsh just leaves a big gaping hole. I'll be interested to see if they do try and... Mitchell Marsh is an integral part of what they're going to have set up for this year. All-rounder playing three formats. That's going to be really, really hard to replace. I'll be very interested to see if they try and bring in another overseas player or a couple to try and play different formats.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing. I think Surrey are the sort of side that are always going to have overseas players. Even if they end up having 4 or 5, dividing it up over a year, they're going to have to do it, aren't they? So
yeah.
Excellent. Right, moving on. So IPL. We touched on this when we did the IPL preview pod, but just going to mop up a few late moves. So obviously we've got Notts white ball lover Alex Hales. He's signed on to replace David Warner for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Hales, he's obviously recently decided no longer wants to play red ball cricket. He's got the move after Warner's suspension. For us, on a negative, he's going to miss 2 one-day cup games for Notts, but obviously that's not too much of a big deal. So joining Hales as well is Tom Curran. He's been snapped up by Kolkata Knight Riders to replace the injured Aussie Mitchell Starc. There's a lot of injured or banned Australians around at the minute. We could probably have an injured and banned Australian 11. Kolkata have also got a boost in the form of fitness of West Indies all-rounder Andre Russell. We thought he was going to miss the tournament for injury, but they believe he should be fit and good to go. Another late signing has come in the form of South Africa keeper batsman, very much a A.B. de Villiers clone. Obviously not in the same class as A.B. at the moment, but he's a nice player, Henrik Klaasen. He's joined up with Rajasthan Royals as a replacement for another banned Australian, Steve Smith.
Wow. Yeah, plenty of movement coming into the final day. We're recording this the final day before the actual IPL starts, and people haven't quite got the teams nailed down, so very surprised. Now, Klaasen's a strange one. I wouldn't have expected someone like him to be picked, and it's nothing against him. It's just not a household name that we're used to. He's only played 4 one-days, 3 T20 internationals, but he does average 35 with the bat in T20 cricket from 49 games, a strike rate of 146. Never got 100, but it's decent. And, if you're playing South African cricket, you're playing the South African franchise cricket, there's only so many teams. It's a high standard of cricket that he's been playing. So you never know. He could be one to watch in the IPL this year.
Yeah, I think how we've got to look at him as well, though, is look at who he's up against. He's basically was up against A.B. de Villiers to a point. Now he's up against Quinton de Kock.
Yeah.
For any place in that South African or any South African side, should I say. I think he did come in when there was an injury, and he basically, he had an absolutely brilliant performance, a couple of games in a row, whatever it was. But he came out afterwards and said, look, I know my place here. Quinton de Kock's an exceptional player. I'm not going to get a game ahead of him at the moment. So maybe he's one of those players that if he was actually playing for somebody else, he would be a household name now. And like you said in the IPL preview, mate, it's a bit of a what have you done lately, isn't it? With regard to who they're going after, the Jofra Archers of this world and people like that. I think he fits into that category. He caught the eye. He looked like he's got something about him in those recent games for South Africa, albeit a very small sample size. So maybe that, so they're just taking a punt on him, aren't they?
Why not? And it's good to see Tom Curran over there as well. He's obviously got a bit about him in the English setup. He he'll be looking to improve on the hard work that he's already put in, right? The guy, over the last year, taking from the start of 2017, 19 wickets at an average of 26 in T20 cricket, not including internationals, an economy rate of 8.31. So he'll be looking to improve on what is a decent career, but it's someone I can say, when he finishes, he'll look back at his numbers and they'll be a damn sight better than where they are now.
You would hope so. I mean, he's very similar. I mean, he plays at Surrey, obviously, along with Jade Dernbach. So he's a similar type of cricketer to Dernbach. He's got a lot of variations. He's got his slower balls, back of the hand, all that sort of stuff. If he's too similar to Dernbach, he's going to end his career probably with worse economy rate than that, like Dernbach. But you'd hope he will pull that back in. The pace part of his bowling surprised me. I thought he'd be quicker. But he just doesn't really have much pace, does he?
No, not
which
yet.
is a bit of a surprise. So it's a good move. He's got his variations. He's an interesting player. He's got a shockingly bad quiff of a haircut.
Awful. I'm looking at a photo right now. It's dreadful.
So that's not going to get him any friends. But apart from that, I don't know. Good luck to him. I think that's the thing. I think he's going to be a good cricketer for England in the future in limited overs. I don't see him as a test match player. I don't want to see him as a test match player. And if he is, I think we're in a bad spot. But good luck to him. Hope he goes well. And I think he's got a little bit of that unseen quality. So some of these players won't have been preparing to play against him. Obviously, England weren't playing against India or anyone they played against Australia and New Zealand this winter, was what I'm trying to say. So they wouldn't have been preparing for him at this moment in time. So he could have some early success, but it all depends on how quickly people can work his variations out.
Yeah, it is. One thing I will say is, the more Englishmen that get the opportunity to play in the IPL, because when the IPL came out, there was this big hoo-ha about, the English people can't play in it just because of the way the contracts work with the ECB and the fact that it's trying to make schedules align. I love the fact that English guys are getting a chance to play in the IPL. It's playing T20 cricket against the very best. It's the best league in the world. And they're getting that opportunity to play against the top teams in precious situations. Only good things for the England team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, keeping with the IPL, one bowler to another, not quite the same category though. We're going to star class here, Kagiso Rabada. Huge blow on the eve of IPL 11 for Delhi Daredevils. They're going to be without Kagiso Rabada, mate. 22-year-old South African quick sustained a back injury and is going to miss around 3 months of cricket. Massive blow. Injury has been described as a lower back stress reaction. Yes, indeed. That came about towards the end of the fourth test against Australia. So, Delhi, they're not in bad fettle. They can still boast the likes of Trent Bolt, Chris Morris and Mohammed Shami in the seam bowling department, amongst others. So they've still got some depth there, but a huge miss for Delhi and a big blow for Rabada to miss out as well.
Yeah, gutting for everyone watching as well, because Rabada is one of those must-see bowlers at the moment. He's fire, and he's good, and he's fast, and he's aggressive, and he loves taking wickets. His T20 stats are pretty damn good. If a guy's averaging a wicket a game in T20 cricket and his economy rate's all right, you're like, yeah, he's not a bad bowler. Well, he's got 53 wickets in 43 innings as a bowler in T20 cricket. Economy rate is 7.59, average of 22. He's star quality bowling that we're going to miss out on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's big shame for him and for Delhi. I think it's probably a good time to do this. I was just looking through some previews the other day through Sky Sports, and they have their Sky Bet betting odds. So I just thought it'd be quite interesting to see who the bookies believe. I mean, if we recall, I think I was saying it's going to be a final between Chennai Super Kings and Sunrisers Hyderabad. And after a late run, Hyderabad take the tournament. And Rob, what was yours?
I went Royal Challengers Bangalore, which I was quite happy with. Considering they came bottom last year and they're going to beat Mumbai Indians in the final. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a bit left field. And you're like, dude, I picked them in the final four as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the odds are interesting. It's got Mumbai in at favourites at 9-2. Then it's got Royal Challengers Bangalore at 4-1. So your selections, mate, are basically the two favourites. So it's not that brave, is it?
They probably listened to what I had to say.
Yeah, taking tips from this. 5-1 in third place, Kolkata Knight Riders. Then joint fourth spot, Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals at 6. 13-2, Sunrisers Hyderabad, bringing it up on the outside. And then Delhi Daredevils and Kings 11 Punjab are both the outsiders at 8-1. So that's interesting odds to me. It's interesting that we've got Chennai down at 6, at joint 4 favourites. And it's also interesting to see Kolkata up there as well. So, but hey, anyone's got a chance in this tournament. All it takes is a run of form, isn't it? 1 or 2 players getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
And it's a tournament.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, right? It's just a team will do as well as the superstars do. This sounds stupid. As well as the superstars do. And also, when a team does really well and goes on to win, there's normally just another player that you don't expect to have a great tournament who ends up having a great tournament. And it's that second tier. It's the second tier of Indian players who have got the perfect opportunity to catapult themselves to stardom in the IPL and go on and get a Cricket India contract and start playing for the country. So they're the ones I want to see that are going to step up and make a difference. But money, the wise money, 4-1, Royal Challengers Bangalore.
Absolutely. Right, we're keeping it money. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this week that the television rights for Indian cricket were up for grabs. IPL was already a done deal, but the actual Indian cricket. So Star India, this is a strange one. I'll just reel off the initial and then Rob's going to run with this one. So Star India has brought the rights to the television Indian cricket or televised Indian cricket from 2018 to 2023 for $944 million.
Let that sink in.
That's a lot of numbers. This works out at approximately $189 million a year, over a 50% jump from the $125 million a year they paid for the same rights from 2012 to 2018. So that's a lot of money, Rob. Like I say, this is something I know that it caught your eye more than mine. I don't want to necessarily go down the wormhole too much of talking business of cricket. I want to talk about play cricket, but I think this is a really important story just for the figures involved. And I'll let you freelance on this one a little bit.
Yeah, one thing that appears to me is going, what's changed? Why is there a 50% increase in the amount of money for just the Indian games? And I don't know if that's because there's certain series coming up in the future that are big money series. But I was very surprised to see those numbers banding around. And you put it in context. Cricinfo did a superb article on this, and I'll put a link to it in the description. But it puts it in context of big global sports broadcast deals. So this is per million. Cost per game per million. The IPL is 8.47 per game. 8.47 million. A Premier League game. Football, one of the richest leagues in the world, 13 million. Indian cricket game, 9.26. So it's now worth more than the IPL per game, which is 20 times more than a Major League Baseball game, and 5 times more than an NBA game being shown live. The only ones that are really in front of it is the English Premier League and the NFL. And it's over an 8-year period from where it was to where it is now, 75% increase. And you've just got to go, why is it so much money? Like, it's a ludicrous amount of money in terms of the increase. Is the population keeping booming that much that there's this much demand? I'm not quite sure, Rich.
Yeah, I just get very nervous when I'm talking about money. Money obviously can help sport grow. It can help it get to a wider audience. But what we tend to find, and I'm going to use the English example first.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The more money that's coming in, the less people get a chance to see cricket.
Yeah.
Over in England, whether you're from England or if you're from somewhere else around the world, England have obviously terrestrial television, your BBC or ITVs, basically 5 or so channels that were free to air, let's say. There are more now because there are digital boxes which have more free to air. But we used to have free-to-air Test cricket for England. We haven't had that for years now, since Sky Sports took over, and now we've got BT Sports as well. Basically pay TV. They have all the cricket. So as exponentially the money grows and grows and grows, there's less and less people actually getting access to watch cricket. We don't see that money then filtering down as much as it should do when you think about how much money is there into the local communities, the inner city areas, the deprived areas, the places where school, fields have been removed because, they need to sell them off for housing because they haven't got enough money. Inner city schools where they don't even play cricket in schools anymore because of lack of facilities or coaches. So I just don't understand, again, this is from an English point of view first, but I don't understand how all this massive amount of money coming into the game actually helps the game grow in the long run. When we're looking at India as well, the same principle applies. We've got a huge, huge working class kind of lower class, poverty. As I've said before, I've travelled India a couple of times. Rob, you spent some time working in India.
Yeah.
So we're not coming from it from a, only seeing it on TV point of view. We've seen it firsthand, and there is, we've got to admit, there is a very elite in India, isn't there? A very rich elite.
Yeah.
There's a small middle class, and then there's a huge part of the population that doesn't have much. And what my question would be, how is this going to help those kids? How is this going to help those families? The education of those kids and getting them into playing cricket. It's all fine, everyone playing cricket on the street, like everybody does, like we used to do when we were kids as well. But I just want to know where this money's going to go. I find it's obscene amount of monies, and really all it's doing is just creating millionaires out of players and administrators, and it doesn't necessarily help the game grow at the grassroots level, and that's where my kind of passion is.
Yeah,
and my concern lies as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Rich. It's a massive thing, and it's participation numbers. Like India's a different one. India's probably like football is in England, right? Participation numbers are generally going to be high, but participation numbers in England, and I don't think I'm wrong on this, between when it was on free to broadcast air, and then by the time Sky Sports, all the money kind of filtered through over a 10-year period, the actual participation numbers in the sport had dwindled. And it's got to be available for people to see. The product has got to be there for people to see. Otherwise, it's just something they read in the paper. And they kind of lose hope and lose sight of, and it just becomes another thing. And now I know cricket's almost a religion in India, but it can happen. Now, what I want to know is, if you are from India and you listen to this podcast, what do you guys think about the amount of money? And where do you think the money really goes? Because to me and Rich, we want to see money in sport that's invested at the top level from TV companies go to grow the game, not just the pockets of the people at the top. It should be invested into the clubs, into the players, making sure Billy and Joe and Darren, they all get the opportunity to play cricket, because you could have your next superstar coming from someone that can't afford to go and buy a bat. That is what sport is about. It's about participation, and it's about giving people the opportunity to enjoy the game that we all love.
Yeah, exactly. And when you say club, just to clarify, I know what you mean. You mean actually the clubs, grassroots clubs, not Chennai Super Kings, not a state side in India. We are talking about the club sides, the little patch of ground somewhere with a hut for a change rooms, which is the same as in English cricket, in village cricket or in lower club cricket. They're the facilities we have as well, and that's where the money needs to go. It just worries me. That's all. I don't think we need to go too far down the hole, do we? But it's let's see what people have got to say. I'll be interested to hear their take on this one.
Yeah, the guys living in it, the guys living in India that listen to the podcast, you're the guys we're looking for here to go, no, this is a really good thing, or actually the money doesn't make it down, because everybody who starts playing cricket picks up a bat and goes to a club. That's where the money should be going.
Yeah, let's hope it does. So we'll leave that there. Obviously, by the time we next talk, we're going to be full into IPL time, aren't we? So we'll be getting on top of things, and there'll be plenty more cricket coming from India that we will be talking about.
Oh yes.
No chance there not being the case, is it?
No, can't wait. Looking forward to the IPL.
Absolutely right. ICC, it'd be nice to have a podcast where we don't talk about the ICC or anything to do with the spirit of the game. But I just want to, this came out earlier in the week, and I think it's just worth us touching on. So obviously after the huge fallout from the recent ball tampering incident, ICC have said that they've now said that they're going to review sanctions for player behaviour after they were only allowed to impose a 1-match ban and 100% match fee fine to Steve Smith. Obviously, that wasn't in line with the 12-month ban Cricket Australia gave him. So clearly, ICC have realised that there is a bit of a middle ground that they need to find. The ICC chief executive, Dave Richards, admitted that this has been a real eye-opener for the ICC, and they've come to realise that the world, not just Australia, regards ball tampering in a very serious light that goes against the spirit of the game. So there really is a need to look at the penalty imposed, isn't there? He also went on to say that around the world, ball tampering is considered cheating. So I think we need to look at it again. It's this what has prompted the review. Obviously, with the one-game ban, ICC didn't see ball tampering as a cheating issue, did they?
No.
I think it's worth just saying that. So they're obviously clearly in the wrong with how they've had this viewed. So it's about time that they caught up with the world and how we see things. So Dave Richards also went on to say that this is going to be a wide-ranging review into player behaviour, and this has been prompted by the many ugly situations of late, and not just the ball tampering, but we've also had a lot of sledging. We've had send-offs. We've had dissent being shown, and we've even had walk-offs.
Yeah.
If you remember, we had the walk-off almost with Bangladesh, didn't we, against Sri Lanka? So there's a lot to address, isn't there? Richard finished with, this is perhaps one of the worst periods in recent memory for consistently poor player behaviour, and the global outcry in relation to the ball tampering is a clear message to cricket: enough is enough. So I think it's good. I hope this isn't just lip service from the ICC. I hope they are actively really trying to dig into this and do something proper.
Yeah.
But time is up, and I think enough is enough. And it's not just, like I say, the ball tampering, is it? It is the nonsense. It's the sledging's gone too far. It's we spoke about it in one of our first pods, Rob, where we were talking about when's it going to get to the point of where it's actually fisticuffs, isn't it, with somebody?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems a long time ago, things like that. It was Javin Miandad and Mike Gatting going at it one day. Nobody.
Yeah. So it's always been there, hasn't it, a bit?
It has, but no one wants to see it. And that was kind of stood out for a long time as this is not acceptable. What generally happens is it's like a small child. They'll push the boundaries, they'll push the boundaries, they'll push the boundaries. And that's what Cricket Australia have done for years. They've pushed the boundaries since Jesus was a lad. And enough's enough. That's not the way we play cricket. That's not the spirit of cricket. And it's damn right wrong, and fair play to the ICC. Like you said, I hope it's not lip service. There needs to be action, and there needs to be forcible punishments put in place more than, it's a 5-run penalty if we catch your ball tampering. It's actually a big deal, and this whole uproar that goes along with what's going on shows how much it means to people, the integrity to the spirit of the game.
Yeah, 100%. And linked to this as well, I think it's really worth us saying, this is all we're going to talk about, these individuals, but thank you, Steve Smith, thank you, Cam Bancroft, and thank you, David Warner, for accepting their punishments handed out from Cricket Australia. There was talk that the Australian Cricketers Association, the Players Association, if you like, they put out a few statements basically criticising the punishments that had been meted out. So I'm really, really pleased that this trio of individuals have accepted their punishments, and basically said, let's move on. Because if it had gone into a protracted legal case, let's say, or an argument, nobody is going to come out of this with any credit whatsoever. Certainly not the players, and certainly not anyone to do with Cricket Australia or Australian cricket. So well done, you guys, for doing that. Obviously, there's not many times we're going to be saying well done to those three blokes at the moment, but I think this is an opportunity for us to say that they have done it, and they've took it like men, and took it like grown-ups, should I say, and done the right thing for the game rather than themselves. So good for them.
Yeah.
Last point on this, Ricky Ponting, Rob.
Yeah.
He's not helping. He's not helping. He's had a bad week. Is it Delhi Daredevils, isn't he, Ricky Ponting? He's lost Kagisa Rabada, and now he's talking absolute nonsense. I'll try and sum up what he's basically said. So he's had a press conference, and he's talking about the reaction to the culture of cricket in Australia. And he said, sorry, sirens going past, going for, if you can hear that, it's someone going to arrest Ricky Ponting for talking crap. So Ricky Ponting said, the cultural issue for me is really an interesting thing, because if we wind the clock back just a couple of months, when Australia won the Ashes like they did, there was no talk about cultural problems or issues whatsoever. I honestly feel on this occasion, the cultural stuff that's been spoken about has probably been blown out of proportion to a certain degree. I'm just going to quickly get it off my chest. Ricky Ponting, you dickhead. What a ridiculous thing to say, mate. I mean, come on. Rob, just what do you reckon?
Ponting's as bad as it gets as an Australian captain. You think of people who don't play the game within the spirit of the game. He must have been fined more times than anyone I've ever heard of for going above and beyond of what is acceptable on the pitch. He's had an umpire walk off the pitch. Mark Benson at an Adelaide Test match back in about 2009, I think it was. He walked off. Do you remember all the abuse when Gary Pratt got that run out in the 2005 Ashes? He'd countless fallings out with the Indian cricket team, with umpires. There was the DRS incident back in 2010 where he was going crazy and he got a 60% fine. He is one of the very worst at advocating the spirit of cricket as a captain. And his line was, I am leading from the front. You're leading from the front, and you're leading them wrong in terms of what cricket is supposed to be. And everyone always called you out on it. And you're in no position to turn around and go, the Aussies aren't too bad, bro. I don't know why he sounds Kiwi either. But it's terrible. infuriating because we put up with his crap for so many years as an English supporter.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the fact that he can't see the issue is what just irritates me and just kind of wound me up this morning when I read this. And he doesn't get it. We spoke about it last time. This started with war. It passed the baton down through all his lieutenants to Ponting. Ponting's passed this along to Michael Clarke. Clarke's passed this on to Steve Smith. It has to stop. Darren Lehmann was a big part of all those sides, with Ponting, with War and with others. It was all part of the same culture. They don't want to see that they've done anything wrong. For a fact that he's in the background, off the record, saying this is ridiculous, isn't it? And he also talks about the actual punishments, and just saying, it would appear that 12-month bans is a very severe ban. If you go back to what the ICC sanction was, 1 game ban for Smith and nothing for the other 2, you can understand the gap is vast between what the ICC deemed fair. I wouldn't comment on what I would have done. It would be unfair. So basically, he's saying that it shouldn't have been the 12-month bans and the 6-month ban, 9-month ban. So anyone that thinks that hasn't looked at the cricketing fixture list for Australia over the next 12 months, because a 6-month ban, let's say, or a 3-month ban would have meant nothing. It may as well have been a 1-match ban or a 2-match ban or whatever it might be. So that's just nonsense as well. The guy's basically got his head so far up his backside that he can't actually see what's happening at the minute in his own backyard. And it's just obscene for me that he people like him need to just pull his neck in at the moment, because it's not the place for him to actually start talking, because he has been part of the problem.
He has.
And he clearly doesn't see that. And that's the shame for Ricky Ponting, because he was a great cricketer, great captain, apart from some of the questionable things like you just said.
Yeah, there was one really good comment on this, Rich, which Mark Hine put on the YouTube page. He basically called it out as 3 players thrown to the dogs, victims of the unacceptable culture of Cricket Australia. Cricket Australia are the real cheats. Stick it in, guys. Yeah, one for the good guys. He's absolutely right. Ponting was forefront, and the piece that he took it on from Steve Waugh, right? Then it was Ponting. But at the top of all that, you've got the overarching evil corporation, if you're talking business terms, where you've got Cricket Australia drilling in this must-win attitude, and people buy into that, right?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it a couple of weeks back. We mentioned Mickey Arthur did a fantastic article in the Players Tribune, is it, or the Players Review? I forget now. I did tweet that one out, so have a look back through if you want. He spoke about how that Cricket Australia, when Mickey Arthur wanted to clamp down on this culture, and he was big at wanting to do that, he was enough's enough sort of guy. He was saying that he would get pushback from Cricket Australia saying, go easy on them. Don't discipline them too much. But then when the players were stepping out of the line, Cricket Australia were coming to him saying, what are you going to do about it? Do more. He was just in a thankless task, and it ended up getting messy, and he couldn't quite find his way out of it. And then he came up against players that didn't want to listen or didn't want to engage anymore. So there's opportunities to do it. But if you're administrator, and that's all Cricket Australia are, they don't own the game. They're just administrators, temporary, what's the right term for that? Just people just looking after the game for the people, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And they've also made an absolute pig's ear of it. They've allowed this culture to continue because they were winning games of cricket. And as long as they were winning, they were turning a blind eye to any sort of nonsense and just moving along from it, ignoring any journalist as just people wanting to have a go against Australia and Australian cricket. So, yeah, it's all nonsense. What's his name? Mark, is it, who put the message
Mark Hind, yes.
Mark, it's a really good point. I mean, I don't want to say they're victimless, and I'm sure he's not saying that, but the 3 players they're the ones that have taken the blame, aren't they, completely? It is their actions, but what they've done is ball tampering. But what they're also getting the blame for is the 20, 30 years of a culture that's been allowed to grow in Australia, and they're also getting the flack for that, which I think is unfair as well. There's a few more blokes that need to step in front and put their hands up and say, kind of apologise and say it's down to them what they did before we throw everything at the Bancrofts, Warners and Smiths.
Yeah, very true.
So Ricky Ponting, I wanted to put this, I didn't want to talk about this anymore, but then Ricky Ponting popped up like a little schoolboy looking pillock he is and talked some crap again. What an idiot. Why did he have to do it, Bob?
He can't help it. Let's move on. What's next?
Right, Zimbabwe. We spoke recently about the Cricket World Cup qualifiers. We spoke a lot about it and said how good that tournament's been. So first off, it was in Zimbabwe. It was really well held. The cricket was good. The pitches were good. The wickets were good. There was no dramas. It wasn't like South Africa where we had the pitch warned, with fingers wagged at the actual wicket by the umpires and everything.
Yeah.
But Zimbabwe cricket, they only just missed out on qualifying for the World Cup. But Zimbabwe cricket have now been on the rampage, basically. They've sacked everybody, Rob. Every single person. If you're a Zimbabwe citizen, oh mate, honestly, if you live in Zimbabwe, if you work at the corner shop or if you work in KFC, you've probably been sacked by Zimbabwe cricket now. Their entire coaching staff has gone. The captain's gone, Graham Creamer, who we were crediting recently for well done in the match fixing stuff. Also, these coaches, just before we go any further, the head coach is Heath Streak, arguably one of the most important players ever for Zimbabwe cricket. Yeah. Not a nice way to treat one of your greats. Also out the door, batting coach was Lance Klusener, obviously the Southern African bloke. He's got a good reputation. Bowling coach Douglas Hondo's gone. Their fielding coach has gone. Fitness coach, team analyst has gone. And just for good measure, Zimbabwe A coach and the under-19s coach have all been sacked.
Well, they're as much to blame as anyone else.
Exactly. I feel for the tea lady. I feel for the dressing room attendant who's probably got sacked as well. The turnstile operator. Who else can we blame for this? So I'm sure people within Zimbabwe cricket have also been sacked. Yeah, would you assume, Rob?
You would assume.
Yeah, I bet that's not the case, though, is it?
No, it won't be. It won't be.
Yeah, so look, I just want to quickly look. Under streak, Zimbabwe cricket has really improved, significantly improved recently, and they played some really good cricket in the qualifiers. They missed out, but it was a bit of bad luck. They played really well. But the mass purge, it seems, is most likely a result of Zimbabwe obviously missing out on the World Cup, but it's also related to finances. Zimbabwe cricket is an incompetent entity, clearly. There's been a budget black hole. Obviously, not being part of the World Cup is going to make worse. But they've had issues with payments, and it was only thanks to Streak and Klusener, actually, who agreed to take pay cuts themselves in February, that allowed the players to get fully paid. In the middle of a Cricket World Cup qualifiers, they had argument and disputes about wages. How incompetent can you get? So no salaries will be paid in March. It's just an embarrassment. They're clearly, obviously, not fit for purpose. They're kind of nameless entities, aren't they? And it's just irritating. So Streaks just said, look, for everything I've given Zimbabwe cricket as a former player and a coach, to be given an email with no full explanation or even the courtesy of a hearing is something I didn't expect. I understand every coach's tenure will come to an end, but we should at least have been given the chance to give our comments and ask some questions. I was looking to take the team to the World T20 in 2020. Outrageous, right? It's just, obviously finance is playing a big part in this, but the way they've handled it is a very bad look for Zimbabwe cricket. And I'm talking about the actual administrators again. Especially how brilliantly they hosted the campaign and some of the cricket that Zimbabwe played. I thought they were a credit. So blame the ICC, not the coach and the captain.
Yeah, what a mess. What a mess. This country, just when you think they're starting to repair everything that's gone on the cricket field only, and get themselves in a position where they can get themselves as an accredited test nation. I think they're there again. But start to make a mark on the game again, because they were great in the 90s. Some beautiful players, beautiful cricket players, great batsmen.
Yeah. And Streak was one of the finest bowlers.
Yeah, great all-rounder, great... he was a great component of county cricket for years, I think, at Warwickshire. Just superb players, and again, all of a sudden, all these guys are going to go. The players are probably going to revolt against the cricket board, and we're going to be in a position where they are not going to be putting out any sort of quality cricket, which is terrible for the players involved. They've only got one opportunity to play for the country, and terrible for the people that support Zimbabwe cricket. They're back to being a laughingstock on the field, and sometimes in life you just need sport to take things away. You need your sports team to be strong or to believe in something, because everything else in life might be going pretty bad, and I'm very disappointed. It's the D word. I am disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Can't even be angry. So, but I watched a few of their games during the World Cup qualifiers, mate, and there was some really good, exciting cricket. They've got players like Sikandar Raza. They've got Brendan Taylor come back from a stint in county cricket to play again. They've got an Irvine in there as well. They've got some really good players, and it's just such a shame that this is the way it's going. But let's hope they get their house in order pretty soon. Wouldn't it be brilliant if a country like Zimbabwe that was struggling financially had a really rich dictator that could just maybe sell off one of his houses that could then fund Zimbabwe cricket for about the next 5 years? But
if only. If only.
If only they had that. So, right, going on to some really good news now. Pakistan, we spoke about it before, but Pakistan have just finished hosting the West Indies on home soil. One of the first series that they've played in Pakistan at Karachi for years. Great, great news. They played on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of April. A solid Pakistan squad's got to be said, strengthened by recent PSL competition. Played against a very weak West Indies squad. So that's not to take anything away from Pakistan when we look at the performances. But West Indies were not in a good position. Now, they did have players like Marlon Samuels, Dinesh Randim, and one or two others. But it was a very weak squad, cobbled together, really, at relatively short notice for this tour. Pakistan, they were brilliant. They made the quality show, flew out the traps to a record win in the first game. Winning by an incredible 143 runs. But then they also did win the next two games as well. So I don't think we can really class this West Indies team as full international quality.
No.
That aside, though, it's absolutely brilliant to see cricket back in Pakistan. Full credit go to the hosts, putting on the series, and massive credit to the touring West Indies for doing this as well. West Indies coach Stuart Law, it's important to listen to what he said. He's praised the security arrangement during his team's time in Karachi, saying that he hoped their experience would lead to further tours. He went on to say, look, it was a bit daunting for people outside, but once you get here and see for yourself, you feel more confident. So he was really happy with what it is. And now I know Pakistan Cricket have already said, look, let's hope this is a start. Wouldn't it be great to see an England team back over here? So obviously, fingers crossed. We know the Pakistan Super League next year, they're looking to play about half of it in Pakistan. So hopefully this is the start of cricket being played back over there.
Yeah, great to see. And they were a fine exponent of T20 cricket, it's got to be said. The number one ranked team in the world, playing on home soil. West Indies, they were on a bit of a hide into nothing. You can't just turn up somewhere like Pakistan and expect to score runs and do well. You need to go there. You need to have that preparation that we talk so much about. And they weren't able to do it, but Pakistan cricket is the winner in all of this. And fair play to West Indies for taking it on such late notice. But Babar Azam had an excellent 3-match series, and in fact has gone to number one in the world in T20 batsmen, overtaking Colin Munro. So he's
awesome, mate.
Excellent form. And Shabad Khan, second in the T20 bowling rankings as well. Imad Wasim's in the top 10. They've got some serious players.
Yeah.
It's just, this is huge. This is massive for that country to be able to start moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And like you said, West Indies, it's a tough one for them. There's no time to acclimatise. There's no time to play any warm-up games. It was just in and out. And you can see from the performances, as we run through them in a second, it got better. Yep. If the first couple of these games had been warm-up games, I think then we'd have had a better, more competitive tournament. But nothing. Pakistan are the number one T20 team in the world at the moment. And they showed that, that they can only play against what was up against them, and they absolutely put them to bed. So the first game, Pakistan 203 for 5. Hussain Talat, who had a really good PSL, he got 41. Fakhar Zaman 39. Sarfraz Ahmed, the skipper, 38, and Shoaib Malik 37. They then dismissed West Indies for 60. So winning by an absolute unbelievable and a record-breaking 143 runs. Marlon Samuels, bless him, top scored with 18. Mohammed Amir, 2 wickets of 3 runs. Mohammed Nawaz, 2 for 19. Malik, 2 for 13. And all-rounder Talat, 1 for 3. Young Talat got man of the match in that game. So the very next day, they played again. Pakistan batted first again. 205 for 3. So very, very similar. And this is where Babar Azam started going. 97 not out of 58. And Hussain Talat, 63 off 41. We've got a bit of a cricketer on our hands there with Talat, I think, as well. Obviously, Babar Azam's useful. Yep. West Indies, improvement. They doubled up. They got 123 off 19.2 overs, all out again, though. Chadwick Walton, the skipper for this mini-series, got 40 off 29, and Dinesh Randim, 21. Again in the wickets, Amir, 3 for 22. Shadab Khan, that man you've just mentioned, 2 for 23. And Talat, again in the names, being named 2 for 12. Babar Azam, rightly man of the match. Third and final game on the very next day. West Indies batted first this time. 153 for 6. They batted the overs. Andre Fletcher, 52 off 43. Dinesh Randim again, 42 not out of 18. And Marlon Samuels, 31 off 25. Shadab Khan, 2 for 27. Pakistan won by 8 wickets. 19 balls left. 154 for 2. So only lost the 2 wickets. Fakhar Zaman, 40 off 17 at the top of the order. Babar Azam got himself 51 off 40. Talat again in the runs, 31 not out. And also Asif Ali, 25 not out, who was also another standout in the Pakistan Super League. So Fakhar Zaman got man of the match, but Babar Azam got player of the series.
Beautiful. There's a contest for Mohamed Amir to be player of the series. Now, he only played in 2 games, but he bowled 6 overs in 2 games, 5 for 25 and an economy rate of 4.16.
Useful
he didn't
with
get
a new ball, though, mate.
Yeah, he didn't get any runs. You're right. And Mohamed Nawaz, he bowled 12 overs, 4 for 64, going at 5.33, and you can tell that from the fact that West Indies got no runs. Then if you look at the West Indies bowling, it's not pretty.
Nobody.
Emirates.
No. Nobody got more than 1 wicket.
No, exactly. Emirates went at 9.5 and over across 3 games. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, they were without some bowlers, weren't they? It was a shame, really. That, it was a squad that was pulled together.
Yeah,
I guess it was also, without knowing what was spoken about behind the scenes, it was probably a squad as well of who was willing to travel. Obviously, there was that extra fee of $25,000 per person to get themselves out there on top of the usual fee. But yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, for West Indies? But like we said before, credit for them going out there, but Pakistan, their class showed, didn't it? And they must have been playing like they were on cloud 9 as well, for the fact they were playing at home in front of their own fans.
Yeah, just think of that for the fans, though. Years and years of not being able to watch their own countrymen represent them on their own ground, and all of a sudden it's there, and it doesn't matter who they play against. It's remembered for cricket being back in Pakistan.
Yeah, and it's an international, isn't it? So it makes it so sweet. But also on the back of the semi-finals and the final being played in Pakistan of the PSL recently as well, is that country just the cricketing supporting part of that country must be flying at the moment.
Yeah,
brilliant. All right, let's wrap up some county cricket and domestic cricket. Rob, Plunkett Shield, our resident New Zealand expert. What happened? Wellington, Central District. Who won?
Well, it's huge. 4 points between the two. The only 2 teams that could win the league. On the final rounds of games. And Wellington were heading up to Auckland to play, and Northern Districts were hosting Central Districts. So all that happened to happen was one of the teams have got to win, and they're going to win the league. Well, I'll tell you what exactly happened. Neither team won the bloody game.
Nobody wanted to win it.
Incredible. So the Auckland-Wellington game. So Auckland got 304 in the opening innings. Martin Guptill Bunce, who's brother-in-law of Martin Guptill, got 91. And O'Donnell.
What's his name? Sorry,
Martin Guptill Bunce.
He's got a hyphenated surname.
He has, yeah. Married his sister, I think.
Whoa, he married his sister.
Yeah.
That's controversial.
Martin Guptill's sister. But it was a strong Auckland team. Martin Guptill played, Mark Chapman played, Phillips, who got 100 the week before, played, Lockie Ferguson played, who's played for the Black Caps. They got 304, decent knock, but it was Van Beek, that very well-known named New Zealand player, Van Beek, Logan Van Beek, who has actually played for the Netherlands and played for New Zealand in T20 cricket. He picked up 6 wickets for 46. In reply, Wellington, who absolutely fell apart last week at the hands of Ishant Sodhi, 174 all out in response. Nobody getting any runs minus the last 2 players. They were 116 for 9. Not even Jeetan Raval, the legendary county journeyman for Warwickshire, could get them past. Lockie Ferguson, 5 for 63, blowing them away. Auckland, back in, 163 all out. Oh, surely Wellington have got a chance. They're going to chase 300. Capitulated, 173 all out. Lockie Ferguson 2, Lister 2, Ferns 1, Delport 4. They were blown away and lost. They needed 294 runs to win, lost by 120. Central Districts, all you've got to do is get over the line. Well, we'll look at this. Northern Districts, 134 all out. Everything's looking pretty. Milne, 3 wickets. Seth Rance, the fireman next door, 6 wickets for 26. Beautiful stuff. Central Districts, in response, just got to get more than them. That's all you've got to do. 99 all out. It's not even been that wet in New Zealand. But I struggle to pronounce this guy's name all the time. Kujaleen, decent first-class cricketer. Got a few wickets against England when they were touring in the warm-up games. He got 7 for 48, and no one really made in any runs. Top scorer, the fireman next door, Seth Rance, 33 at number 9. Northern Districts, so they've got 100, we've got 100. surely we can just knock them over here, boys. 483 all out off 126 overs. It's turned into a road. Incredible. Devic, who is earning a fair bit of money around the world, Anton Devic, he got 100 for himself, and DJ Mitchell got 104. 6 wickets for A.Y. Patel, and in response, they needed 519 to win, 284 for 4 in response, ran out of time. Cleaver 87 not out, Will Young 75, and what that meant was that Central Districts, for the first time since 2013, have won the Plunkett Shield by 4 points and stay undefeated on the season. So huge congratulations to them.
And still,
your WWE.
Yeah, well done. So basically, nobody wanted to win in the end. They just got to the final week and they couldn't be any more Kiwi, and just was like, "Oh no, mate, after you. You do it. You go first."
Yeah, you go, bro.
It's been so nice.
You go, bro. Yeah. You go, bro. You go, bro. Just incredible finish to the season. The Wellington team started so strong with the bat this year. I think it was Michael Papps put 316 not out in the first week of the season, ended up the top scorer with 814 runs, and Woodcock in 6th with 682. But they just fell apart at the wrong times. There's nothing you can do about it. That's cricket. Sometimes the better team wins, and the better team won the league. They've gone the season undefeated. Wellington had a great season. They came second by a bit of a distance. So they're not a terrible team. They've just had a really unfortunate last 2 weeks of the season where they really, really kicked themselves.
Yeah, tough luck for Wellington then, but congrats to Central Districts. So, and that's the season. That's the Kiwi cricket season put to bed then. Test matches finished. Plunkett Shield finished. That it? Everything done?
That is it.
Put away?
That is it. That is cricket done. There's 2 guys I want to shout out in this. So just looking at the top run scorers, and he's a bit of a legend. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place in the most runs for the season. He only played 7 of the 10 games. Jesse Ryder, 640 runs.
Big boy.
Absolutely superb. And then the bowlers. So A.Y. Patel was the top wicket taker with 48. But in 5th place, English county journeyman, 9 games, 36 wickets, Jeetan Raval.
Good lad. How did Mika get on? Did we hear much about Stuart Mika?
We didn't actually.
No, because he came over, didn't he? We spoke about that, but I don't remember seeing or hearing anything about him. So,
you know what? I've not heard much about him.
We will investigate.
And he didn't play in this game either, which is quite strange because you'd expect him to be around unless he's gone back to the UK already.
But he was supposed to be finishing the season, wasn't he? For was it Central District?
No, he was Auckland. Oh yeah, here you go. He played 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
3 games. He got none for 59, none for 27, 1 for 98, and none for 70.
Not the best average there then. So, well, at least he's had the experience.
Yeah, he got a solid 14 and an 8 not out with the bat in 1 game, so that's not bad.
That'll do, bless him. So that moves us nicely on to, we are nearly into the county cricket season in England. It's nearly there, and traditionally this time of year, it's we have miserable weather, and our cricket club, we'll actually try and put a picture up. But the cricket club I play for in England that Rob used to play for is underwater at the moment. So we have a flood.
We have.
And I don't think we're alone. I know Worcestershire, their new road ground, they're traditionally like us as well, so they're underwater as well. So I don't feel like we're quite ready to be talking about the start of the English county or cricket season, but that's where we are. And what usually lifts the curtain rise or whatever for the county season is an MCC game against last year's champions, and that's what we've had recently. So we had an MCC 11 play against last year's champions Essex, and MCC wiped the floor with Essex. They won by an innings and 34 runs.
Wow.
Exactly. This was played over in Bridgetown, Barbados. So first dig, Essex 178, 187 even, all out, with opener Nick Brown, who's possibly one of those guys that's talked about in when we're talking about potential England batsmen. He top scored with 48. Northant seamer Richard Gleeson, the in-form man after his stint with the Lions, took 5 for 60, including a hat-trick. And young Somerset spinner Dom Bess took 2 for 57. Dom Bess is going to be an interesting one, just briefly. If Jack Leach is playing for England in the summer, then Dom Bess suddenly gets an absolute opportunity. And we'll come on to him a little bit in a second. So in reply, MCC, 408 for 8 declared after Essex's 187. Sam Hain, Warwickshire's Sam Hain, 140 not out, who we spoke about recently again as somebody that was in a good form over the winter. And that young man again, Dominic Bess, 107 not out, batting at number 9. I think that's his top innings to date for the young spinner. So, Essex behind it, trailing by 2-2-1, were again dismissed for that same score of 187, thanks to man of the match Dominic Bess, taking 6 for 51, and Gleeson again, 3 for 46. Tom Wesley top scored with 62 for Essex. So a proper spanking of Essex, not the ideal start for your county season, but a very impressive performance from MCC, and some guys that have wintered well with the Lions and in the North v South game, should I say, have carried on that form.
Yeah, some seriously good cricketers. We've spoken about Sam Hain a couple of times during the English Lions, but the guy's a bit of a superstar. He averages 57 in List A cricket. 57 in his career so far. Averages only 33 in first class cricket, but he's obviously got something about him. Got a 50 in the North versus South game, 140 here, 144 for the England Lions in a List A game. Yeah. He's a beast. And Dominic Bess as well, 20 years old. His first class stats for a 20-year-old spinner in England, right? 62 wickets from 14 games at an average of 21.4 with an economy rate just above 3. They are absolute worldy numbers that he's putting up so far.
Yeah, we're starting to get into a territory where we do have some young spinners coming through. We just need the counties to keep using them. Leach has stepped up into the international arena. Mason Crane is there or thereabouts. There's this young fella, Don Best. There are others as well. I think, is it Waller as well at Somerset? I think I might be wrong. I'm not sure, but there's Max Waller. There are some really talented young spinners, and I'm sure I'm missing some out. But England are not in a great place internationally with regard to the test side at the moment. But we're not a million miles away if these players continue to keep developing, from having a group of young lads that could step up, and we need them. We need somebody at the start of the year to step up and score some runs and take some wickets, because there are gaping holes in that England test side, waiting for Pakistan to come across. So if a Sam Hain or a Gubbins or any one of these lads can step up, then there's a chance there for them.
Yeah, definitely. One thing about Sam Best that I really like, his explanation, basically this off Cricket Info, his explanation as to how he came to bowling off spin is brilliant. I was a little porker when I was younger, so I never took a longer run up. I always took 5 or 6 paces and just trotted in, and that's how he came on to bowl off spin.
He was a lazy kid.
He was a lazy kid. But there's some decent names in this. Daniel Bell Drummond we've spoke about as a potential England future on his hands. Decent plays, not finished that great in this off-season. And he did get 100 for Kent against Jamaica in a warm-up game in List A cricket, but he's not really set the world alight. But averages over 40 in List A, averages 35 in first-class cricket. They're the ones, if they've got the right temperament, they're the ones that can go up and really make a stand when you look at your Trescothics and Vaughans and players like this in that era that identified for the person and the skill they had rather than the numbers they were putting out at first-class cricket. So he could be one for the future.
Yeah, Bell Drummond's the one I've been banging the drum for quite some time now for me. Really? So I want to see him. And he might not score as many runs or he might not get as many headlines as one or two others, but when he's played against top opposition, touring international opposition, he's scored runs. He looks to me like he's got the temperament. That's what I like about him. That's what attracts me to him. And he can also play some shots as well. So he's one I'm looking forward to. One name that's come up time and time again this winter when we've looked at England Lions, North v South, and now in the MCC game is Richard Gleeson.
Yes.
Not many people may know who Richard Gleeson is, but he's took a lot of wickets. Now, we've thought about it for a couple of weeks. I think it's worth actually telling you a little bit about who this fella is. Richard Gleeson, bearing in mind he's been on the England Lions, which is the up and coming. He's 30 years old. So straight away, it's a bit of a question. What's going on? Why is Richard Gleeson playing for the Lions? Well, he's a 30-year-old team. He plays for Northants, but he's only played 3 years in county cricket. So that means he was 26, 27 when he came into the county game. Before that, he's only played 16 first-class appearances as well. So this is a player that has come from nowhere. He's very young in county years, if you like, but he's 30. It's incredible. So as a youngster, he played club cricket. Then he got actual work with Lancashire as a cricket development officer. So not playing on the staff, but actually developing the game. And at 22, he then was selected to play minor counties for Cumberland, which is obviously the step down from county cricket. So he played it for Cumberland for a few years. And at 27, Northants were made aware of him, his big right-arm seamer. And within a few weeks on trial, he went from playing a few second 11 games to playing against the 2015 touring Australians, where he dismissed both of the Marsh brothers. In a little interview, he recalls batting against Pat Cummins, and Pat Cummins steaming in at him with Nathan Lyon, the little pillock Nathan Lyon is chirping, surprise, surprise from short leg, telling Cummins to hit him on the head. So, good old Aussies. But Gleeson, he's gone on to do so well with Northants, especially with the white ball, that this unlikely rise led to this winter obviously wearing an England Lions shirt. So we've basically got a club cricketer who then went on to minor counties. You know, you wouldn't expect anything. He's still probably playing a bit of club cricket at the same time. He gets a chance at having a trial. He takes his chance, and suddenly he's dismissed Sean and Mitch Marsh. He gets a contract. He's playing for England Lions. He's playing in the North v South. He's playing for the MCC. He's taking wickets after wickets. He got a hat-trick for the MCC. Where does this story end, Rob?
I don't know. I actually don't know. He's got a good Yorker on him. Or here it says he's the master of the Yorker under pressure. And it was enough to win him a berth in the Bangladesh Premier League back in 2016. So you never know. This guy may well get a T20 call-up in the future. You just don't know. But what a story. Just when you think your dreams are over, when you get into your mid-20s and you're accepting life for what it is, bang, it pulls you back in and you've got a dream again.
It's awesome, isn't it? I think it gives everybody hope, doesn't it? Club cricketers, minor county cricketers. Maybe after a certain age you can stop dreaming. But, you know, in your 20s still, keep going, keep grafting. You never know what's coming for you. And I just wonder with this one, you know, he's got no real miles on the clock. He's not like he's been playing 4-day game after 4-day game for 10 years. At the age of 30. You know, this guy is not a 30-year-old in terms of cricketer, county cricketer. You know, he's not got those overs under his belt. You know, I'm sure he's bowled plenty of overs in his life, but certainly not the amount a 30-year-old county seamer would have. So it's interesting. I think the 30 is a little bit of a, let's not worry about his age. You know, just look at him on performance and what he's doing. And who knows where he could end up. You know, he's getting all these accolades, isn't he? Playing for Lions, North East South, MCC. So who knows? I think it's just a lovely story, and you know, we've seen over the winter England are desperate for some fresh and some different bowling. So whether or not he gives us that, I don't know. But it's I reckon everybody's up for having the same opportunity as the season starts.
Yeah, heartwarming story to finish, I think. Rich, anything else you want to touch on in the world of cricket from the last week from yourself?
No, but I don't want any more Ricky Pontings to start stirring the pot again, so we have to talk about that crap. I've had enough of it.
Yeah, we're all over Ricky Ponting. I think I was over Ricky Ponting back in 2003, and the guy just keeps popping up.
Shut up, Ricky.
Shut up, Ricky. Yeah. But that'll do it for today, guys. The IPL preview is live on the channel, so make sure you go check that out. There's 150 views on it already and heaps of comments. Let us know who you think is going to win the IPL. The County Championship preview will be dropping in the next week. That's going to start next weekend. The IPL starts this weekend, so the IPL podcast will be going up the middle of next week. Comment, subscribe, keep the good times rolling. Rich, pleasure as always, my friend. We'll see you next time.
Yep.